Hey, what's up? I'm Scott, and in this week we're going to be trying to recreate this time-lapse stop-motion effect by Film Spektakle. This is a small clip of one of their most recent time-lapse films, A Taste of Los Angeles, and it is absolutely breathtaking. I highly recommend checking it out. We got a link for it down below. I just kind of wanted to figure out how to recreate it so I can learn what problems they went through. At the end of this, I'll be kind of explaining some of the things that I learned, hopefully through the process, and what maybe I would do differently or what I will try to do differently in the future. So my guess is, looking at this, I'm gonna be taking a static time lapse, and I want some motion blur in the background, and I wanna see the clouds moving. Then I'm gonna turn my camera into burst mode with a high shutter speed so I can freeze those cars and just get them all across in the scene. And I just gotta find a location. And the other day I was trying to shoot the sunset behind the Statue of Liberty, and I think I found a good location. So we're gonna get changed because it's really cold here in New York. We're gonna go give it a shot and see what we learn. All right, so I'm here at the spot, and so I'm just getting a stock time lapse right now. You can see this is just a time lapse, and I'm just shooting 240 photos. And I just want to be able to get that top sky bit. I'm just going to be looping it, so that way we have a little bit of cloud and a little bit of loop. Hopefully that bus didn't ruin it. We just need like 3 seconds to have a loop of the sky. And then what I'm going to be doing is, once the time lapse is done, when these cars come in, I'm just gonna be taking a burst mode of all of these cars turning. And so hopefully I'll eventually have enough of them turning so that way I can just kind of animate between like a stop motion. All right, here comes our first car, enter the frame. Oh shit. Yep. Okay, here comes our first car, entering the frame. Cool. And so in order to do this, what we definitely want to have our high speed shutter. And if we just look at these, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. We've got, took almost 700 photos. We got 1, 20, 1, 2, 3. Oh, let's just get this one just to be safe. And yeah, I'd like to get a taxi. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Here we go. Hopefully everything lines up. Oh, dang it. All right, we got a couple, but this guy really Scrooged me. Totally biffed it.
Oh, I biffed that one, huh?
You biffed it?
All right, so we're back. We're gonna put the media, we're gonna put all the files into our computer, and I'm not gonna bore you with all the steps to convert it into a video, but I am gonna convert it into 2 videos. 1, a time-lapse video, just of the static time-lapse, and then 2, kind of like a time-lapse of every single car that went by that was frozen. And then I'm gonna try to, basically what I'm gonna do is mask them out. I'm gonna have a mask of the top part where I have a looping sky and a mask with the bottom part where it's just the cars. So if you remember, on location, I kind of had an issue where the bus was intersecting, and it was a problem because the bus is too high in the frame. So unfortunately I gotta cut those out, which only leaves me with about a 3-second loop. So I'm gonna loop it and then duplicate it a bunch of times so I have a longer loop. If I need to be, I could always trim it up later. Once we have the loop, now what we want to do, and this is going to be the most tedious part, is I want to go through all of the cars. First, I'm going to cut them all up and label them based on the color of the car and then the size. Like, so it's just like if it's just a car or SUV, and I'm just labeling them all. And then once I've done that, I then went ahead and put guidelines so that way I could see where the tires were. And I was using the tires, the wheels of the car, and the kind of the top of the car to help me guide them up. And this was really the most time consuming part. It probably took me 90 minutes just to cut them all up and get them close. And then probably another 30 or so minutes to really fine tune and make sure that car was in the best location. And I changed it a bunch of times. It was very tedious. It's not like it's the most difficult thing to do because you're just looking at it frame by frame. It's just that it's absolutely tedious. And then what I had to do is I realized, because I was doing this on a 24 frames per second timeline, and so when the cars were going by, it just happened so fast. I didn't like that, so I pre-comped it or nested it or however you want to do it, compound clip, and then I slowed the car part down just so you could see the cars a little bit better, and I ended up slowing it down twice. And now I just wanted to kind of add that camera motion. So the only way I know how to do this is in After Effects, and I just added a 3D camera and I moved it back so that way it fit the frame, and then I just kind of had the camera following the car and just kind of kept the car center framed, and I easy eased those, and this is the end result, and I think it turned out pretty good. I'm okay with it. Now that I've gone through the process, there's a few things that I've learned that I would definitely do better to improve it. So the first thing I would have done differently is came a couple hours earlier. Like I shot an hour before sunset, and the golden tint of the sun is really noticeable, especially as it goes behind some of these clouds. And so that was bad. I should have shot earlier, like maybe around 12 when the sun is really high up, and had a little bit more of a consistent lighting. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two is my composition. I don't necessarily think my composition is bad, but it's not really the best composition for this effect. And after looking at it, I just thought like mine was lacking in something. And then kind of comparing the two, what I think it is your eyes are directed to this stop motion, like frozen car, right? And it's going across the scene. But in the background, there's so much action, so much movement. There's motion blur, and then there's cars just whizzing in every direction. And it's like this juxtaposition of calm and still versus like frenetic and energy. And I don't really have that because I can only see basically one lane in mine. And I think that's really the difference, is I chose something that doesn't show off all of that. And I think that in hindsight, now what I would do is I'll keep my eye out for another location and see if I can figure out a better composition to better utilize this technique. Because I don't think mine really did it. And then the last thing I would do to improve this is it's always a great idea to kind of reverse engineer and see how people did things. But now I'd like to go a step further and add my own twist to it, like figure out a way to add my twist to it and contribute to the scene instead of just like, take this idea and be like, oh yeah, I did it. And I just didn't quite have enough time to do it this week. This idea kind of is sparked by Cinecom's Copycat Friday and the books by Austin Kleon, Share Your Work, which I'm trying to do right now, and Steal Like an Artist, which is kind of like two things that I'm combining in one by recreating and running into these problems. That is pretty much it. Hopefully I can figure out another one, because I think it would be a cool idea to find a place where I can see like different levels and then maybe take the car out of the frame or interact with the car by taking it and maybe moving it to a different level or like twisting it around and pushing it. I don't know, just some way to interact with it would be fun. All right, well, that is it for this video. Feel free to subscribe, and if you have any questions, let me know. Happy shooting, and I'll see you next time. I'm gonna try to come up with some more ideas. So if you have any, let me know. You still here? Check this out. Little pink dinosaur. Pinkosaurus Rex. Pinky Pablo. Wow.